So, I think we can say with certainty that Mashmac as a mode is completely borked. It's unfortunately a repeat of what happened in the open beta. After a month, it has gone from a brainless yet relaxing romp of shooting up trash mobs to now being as pleasant as a vacation in Afghanistan. And just like the open beta, we have snipers to blame. Aquila is, without contest, the best striker for Mashmac. Y'all thought Welkin was OP? Clearly you haven't played Mashmac recently. If people aren't playing Aquila, then they're probably running Falcon or Stellaris to counter Aquila, completing the holy trinity of Mecha break cancer. I don't see how Seasung could ever salvage this, because nerfing Aquila for Mashmac would also mean nerfing them in 6v6, and he's perfectly fine in that mode. So there's no way to win here. Maybe Mashmac was always doomed. Its purpose was supposed to be a mode that could retain casual players, a place where people wouldn't have to worry about keeping up with sweaties in order to keep having fun with the game. But by adding that extra P in the PvPvE mode, you invite the possibility of the entire mode devolving into nothing but a pile of sweat. It's just the nature of human competitiveness. You can take an activity that's utterly benign like cup stacking or filling out spreadsheets, but by making it into a competition, you inevitably escalate it into a spectator sport. That wasn't a joke, by the way. I think it'd be better for everyone, players, devs, and the game itself, if Seasung just axed Mashmac as an extraction mode and retooled it into a strictly PvE mode. No one would complain. In fact, I've seen a lot of people who would pick up the game if it had a PvE mode. It can be the thing that retains casual players, so 6v6 doesn't feel pressured to lie about people's skill. It would attract new players, bring back old ones, and would be the thing that's more financially lucrative in the long run. Just look at all the most successful or longest running live service titles. The thing they all have in common is that they are all primarily PvE games. It looks like such a no-brainer. Why didn't Seasung think of it? Well, maybe they have. I have no way to prove this. This is a complete ass pull on my part, but I speculate that Seasung originally did want to have a PvE mode, but whatever investors that are funding the game saw that plan and went, "You're telling me that every year you gotta make new content and maps with new gameplay gimmicks, hire new voice actors to read new voice lines and constantly run tests to make sure that all this new stuff has to work every time? And that's on top of making new strikers that have to be tested and the daily duties of bug fix, signal, and balance patching? That sounds expensive. How am I supposed to budget all that against my space shuttle joyrides? Why do you constantly have to make new things? Why can't you be like Fortnite? Your multiplayer mode already is modeled after Overwatch, which made a lot of money. So if you add a mode like Fortnite, which also made a lot of money, it would be like making a lot of money times 2. That's how I imagine the conversation went down. Most investors just look at other lucrative games and point to them as an example of what to do, while having zero understanding that PvP games are naturally far more alienating to casual players. But then again, they wouldn't know that because they never play their own games, and thus never had the life-changing experience of having a prepubescent boy screaming racial slurs at them. Or maybe this was always the intention. As I just demonstrated, there's way more that goes into a seasonal PvE game than most people realize. Maybe Seasung just doesn't have the time, money, or resources to pull off a PvE mode, is what someone lacking imagination would say. If Seasung was able to make a mode like Mashmap and get it up and running, they are fully capable of making a PvE mode. They wouldn't even need to do much since they already built most of the game. They already got a map, a bunch of mobs with the AI programmed, power-ups and weapons, even boss battles. I think it's completely possible to take the skeleton of Mashmac and simply rearrange all the squishy bits to easily transform it into a PvE or even a single-player mode. Allow me to pitch my idea of a new Mashmac mode. I am proposing a mode that's basically Elden Ring Night Rain, but with giant robots. You and 3 or 4 other players all drop onto a random place on the Mashmac map, which you already built, and your goal is to run around shooting up all the enemy strongholds, which you already made, in order to gain weapons and upgrades, which you already have, all while call rate storms cause the map to shrink over time. So far, it's just the pre-existing gameplay loop, but here's the difference. You are not competing against other players. There'll be bots of the existing strikers that serve as even more powerful enemy mobs or mid-bosses, but the thing you're actually competing against is the clock. You gotta grab as many power-ups as you can within a time limit, and once that time limit expires, a boss will spawn, which you already made. Once this happens, your team must book it to the boss area before the entire map is engulfed in the quark storm, and your team needs to beat the boss in order to successfully extract. And just like in Matchmack right now, anything that's on your person that you may have picked up on the run that you didn't send off in cargo rockets will get lost if you guys fail. So naturally, the boss is going to be harder than a shit brick house, so you're going to need as many upgrades, weapons, and ammo that you can get at the highest grade in order to stand a chance to beat them. You can still use cargo rockets to ensure the best stuff from your run makes it back to your inventory, and you can use ammo drops and supply drops to bring back your best stuff in preparation for the boss battle. But now, people have an actual reason to buy purple and gold weapons from the auction house, since they're so rare on their own, and they're required even more now than ever to be able to succeed. Now look, I have feelings about the auction house and its execution, or hell, the monetization model as a whole. I can make a whole separate video about that, but I know that uprooting your entire revenue stream may not be in the cards right now, especially if it was pushed by those prickly investors, but there you go, C-Sun. If anyone watching this knows Chinese, I give you full permission to sub or dub this video and send it C-Sun's way. And Chris, if you do end up watching this and take some of my ideas, I fully expect compensation in the form of a Falcon model kit, or that Musame kit. I could have gone into even more details about how to expand this new Matchmack mode, what the reward incentives would be, how to integrate the story and even faction gameplay into it, but I decided to follow my own advice and just cut it now. Remember how last time I said that people should be worried about proposing solutions to devs? Well, another danger of that is the fact that the more you extrapolate on an idea, the more in love you become with your own vision. Eventually, you stop pitching ideas on how to improve an existing game, and instead start pitching a completely different game you just want to play. And if I got my way, my version of Mecha Break would be so shameless, it would incur the wrath of the greatest evil in all of gaming: Australian housewives.